And so with that being said, I think one of the big things is really making sure, like really caring about the kids getting better and really building an organization that builds out intrinsic motivation, because the only way your athletes are going to really get leaps and bounds better is if they're doing work outside of when they're training with you, outside of your practices, whatever, right? So how do we build intrinsic motivation? So I think one of the things that, again, sets us apart, especially here in Los Angeles, is you don't want to be the sage on the stage teacher where you're the one talking 50% of the practice, right? Whether it's a training session or whether it is a practice. We provide a lot of learning opportunities. We use a lot of opportunities where we have kids vocalize and say what they want to get better at, and then have partners, and then have accountability partners. You are listening to the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast, transforming athletes into leaders on and off the court with host Coach Furtado. Coaches, are you ready to take your passion for coaching and turn it into a full-time career? I know the challenges firsthand, but the Make Money Coaching Sports program helped me take BTG basketball full-time. If you're tired of juggling coaching part-time and want to fully focus on doing what you love, this business accelerator will give you the tools and support to make it happen. Hit the link in the show notes below to learn more and start living your dream. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. And in today's episode, I am going to share with you all how I built BTG basketball. So why would you want to build something like BTG basketball? And I will share with you, last Monday was our first club basketball banquet, and I had told the restaurant owners where we were hosting it at Cannellini's in Los Angeles, if you all want to look that up, is I told them about 45 to 50 people. I thought about half the kids in the program would come along with their parents. Instead, we had 94 people, including coaches, including family, including players, and we packed the place. And it got me thinking, wow, it's amazing how much it's grown. And so for those that are interested in building their own training program, building their own AAU/club/travel program, this is a great episode for you. And I want to just share how I did it. And it's going to include some personal insights. Some things are going to change. And I just hope that you can take a couple of nuggets of wisdom that you can bring with you, get some ideas, and then you can go and impact youth, because that's what it's all about. That is what this is all about, is impacting youth. And that's what I'm going to start with. The number one reason that BTG has grown is not because I'm a college basketball player, not because I'm a college coach, not because I'm from Los Angeles, because I built this this is about year 3. So we're going on year 3. Year 1 was no club. Year 2 was poorly run club. And year 3 is now building out we'll call it a well-oiled machine, but I'll come back to that. The number one thing is it's built on impacting youth and really caring about young people's development. And now, I'm not saying that your brand has to mean that, right? You have to have a brand that stands out, right? And so I'm in a very competitive market in Los Angeles, which is, I think some people can be like, yeah, it's too competitive, I don't want to be here. However, when you understand if there is a competitive market, that generally means there is demand for that type of product. And if you want to stand out from the crowd, you have to have a better product. And what we have really stood for is we're all about development. We really care about the kids. And here's what honestly will separate you from others is follow through, right? We follow through. I think one of the comments we get most from parents is a lot of people say they want to make an impact on kids. A lot of people say they care about development over winning. However, their decisions and their actions are different from what they say. And that's just a point blank honest truth. And so I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm a very competitive person. Do I sometimes maybe put winning over development? Of course, because I'm very competitive. However, most of the decisions we make as a program are all designed for development, which is what we are selling our parents. And then number two, if I'm selling, hey, like we're going to develop your athlete, we are really starting to develop athletes. Why we don't just recruit high level players, right? This is what my biggest gripe is with AAU. And I'm going to share an episode on my vision for the future of AAU. With that being said, however, I believe that it's all about, again, development. So with that being said, if I said that and my players weren't getting any better, and our players now as a program, it's not my program anymore, it's our program. If they're not getting better, then parents aren't going to come back. So word of mouth marketing, you can have the best social media team, you can have the YouTube, the Instagram, you can be a great college, basketball player with a great history, you can be kind of this influencer. However, if your product doesn't help players get better, then you're not going to grow via word of mouth as much as BTG has. Like, I have put in a lot of effort into social media, like a lot of effort. And I can tell you the growth has really occurred now that we have so many players. It's kind of exponential, right? So I understand, right, wherever you are, you may be a trainer with 4 clients, you may be a trainer with 14 clients, you may be a club owner with 1, 2 teams. It becomes a lot easier, right, when you start to scale. And I'm not saying like I don't work much at all. Like, I still have to grind, and that would be my number 2 is you have to have some sort of stable income coming in if you're going to be able to do your own thing, at least in Los Angeles, right? The bills it's very expensive. And so with that being said, you don't want to rush, right, your product. You don't want to be like, screw it, burn the boats. Like, I'm going to do this. This is the only thing I'm going to do. Now, some people may give you that advice and say, hey, that forces you to get a little better at sales. Now, I'm talking specifically for the youth basketball industry, right? Whether you're a trainer or whether you're a club owner, it's a relationship business. You cannot fast track a relationship business unless let's say you're an NBA player, high level college player. If you're from the area, you may be able to fast track it. But I'm not from Los Angeles. I didn't play college basketball, like I had said at the beginning. So what I had to do, it takes time, right? It takes, in my opinion, at least 9 months to really see dramatic results, right? You can see solid results in 3 months, in my opinion. If you're a part of a program for over a year, or, a kid is, and they make dramatic leaps, then boom, that parent is going to tell other parents about your service, about your, again, your product, whatever that product is. And so with that being said, I think one of the big things is really making sure, like really caring about the kids getting better and really building an organization that builds out intrinsic motivation, because the only way your athletes are going to really get leaps and bounds better is if they're doing work outside of when they're training with you, outside of your practices, whatever, right? So how do we build intrinsic motivation? So I think one of the things that, again, sets us apart, especially here in Los Angeles, is you don't want to be the sage on the stage teacher where you're the one talking 50% of the practice, right? Whether it's a training session or whether it is a practice. We provide a lot of learning opportunities. We use a lot of opportunities where we have kids vocalize and say what they want to get better at, and then have partners, and then have accountability partners. And so that's some of the stuff that's like really separates us. Like, I think one of the things is like I've kind of stepped into a director role when parents approach me. They're like, coach, we want you to coach our kids. However, my coaches, our coaching staff is doing an incredible job coaching the BTG way. Asking questions. Asking questions is actually the best way to teach, and then have athletes teach each other and provide learning opportunities. We want to provide a learning space. So if we can accelerate their learning process, that's what we've done at BTG. And I feel like I'm going to say, And, if you're interested, I am available. We can go back and forth. I'll send you an audio message, something a little more direct on yours. Your whatever your business is it's how we do it, right? A couple of other things that we've got from other parents is we are the best at communicating. We're the best club at communicating. So if you follow me, if you've been following me for a while, maybe you're new. I do a lot of newsletters. So I send out 3 a week. I send out one to my club, I send out one of my coaches, and I send out one. It's like a general one. It's, might be the one that you may be getting and learning about this, the Beyond the Scoreboard newsletter. And so communication is the most important thing, right? Most clubs, most organizations are not that. They are not organized. If you are organized, you have your T's dotted, your T's crossed, and your I's dotted. You are going to be leaps and bounds better than the competition. Like, it's amazing how much organization, just like in understanding, like the parents, like in clarity and communication. And there's still some stuff like now that I will say some of the challenges that I'm having is now that I'm scaling, I have to become a better communicator, make things more clear. I got a lot of teams, so I need to maybe make sure that, hey, coaches are going to disseminate some of that information. So I think some of that patience. So I'll talk a little bit later about how I scale the business, but that is, in a nutshell, how I built BTG. It was through care, right? Obviously, sheer effort and will. Like, I've done a lot of different things, like pass out flyers, I've done free sessions, I've invested a ton of money into courses and coaching and learning how I can be a better coach myself. And I think that's the last piece I will leave you with is it's a constant journey. You have to want to get 1% better each day. So like right now, one of my goals is to get 1% better at delegating. So with that being said, I really appreciate you all listening. I hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to continuing to provide value via the podcast with great guests and obviously opportunities to share some of my experience now. And it's really, again, I'm in BTG, Beyond the Scoreboard, and all this to make an impact on kids. And it's up to us coaches to go make as great of an impact and impact as many kids as we can. Because if we can really teach life lessons, this is what originally sport was for, youth sports. We can teach life lessons. We can prepare our young people to be community leaders. We will prepare our future for better, right? And so that's my motivation, and I'm going to keep doing that. So make sure you subscribe, follow, like, send this to a friend, a coaching friend, a training friend, whoever it is. Coach Furtado, out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend, coach, or parent you feel like would get value from this episode. It's our responsibility to impact as many parents and coaches who are the ones that are impacting our athletes. That's how we create a ripple effect. So thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to serving you all next week.